Good morning. Welcome to Flat Earth Early Bird number 1620. I'm your host, Arwin. And before we start the show, please don't forget to share it on any platform you deem fit. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal and the Patreon. That would be much appreciated, and I can really use it, so yeah. Right, the weather today is absolutely glorious. It's a pristine, deep blue sky. All of a sudden, what a contrast to yesterday, when it was mostly clouded. Really only started to clear up like in the middle of the night, and it's been like a super blue sunny sky with, yeah, even not exaggerated amounts of wind, so it's really beautiful out there and warm. Plants are doing fine. My parsley is getting a bit, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's been too much wind or something. Not been a lack of water. How's the garden going? Yeah, it's doing fine, except for parsley. It's like, I don't know, all the old shoots like have come off by now, but the new ones are already like kind of getting sort of yellowish green. I don't know. So we'll see what's gonna happen. They might be not making it, and then I'll have to get a new one. Right, anyhow, hello Oz first in chat, Cleary, Clutch, Nathan Oakley 1980, good to see you, Zeb Teppy, yeah, wow, a whole bunch of people in the chat right away, that's cool. It is Saturday, the 3rd of June 2023. Temperature 23 degrees Celsius. Yep, thought something like that. Wow. Seems, according to the prediction here, it's going to be like that all week. So that's pretty cool. Pretty hot, should I say. Lots of clear sunny days. Looking forward to it. Although, I mean, yesterday, was it the day before? No, yesterday it was unexpectedly cold out of nowhere. They didn't predict that. Anyway. Yellowing could be too much water. But even with all this sun and the wind, because wind also evaporates water. Right, and it's not like they've been drowning in it. I mean, the water can escape through the bottom. But yeah, Clutch, I don't know. parsley always gives me trouble like that. I don't know. And I've seen other people with parsley plants that are just like that, never die. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Right, but I'll keep in mind that it might be too much water. Thanks for the tip. Anyway. How you all doing? Yeah, I'm doing great. Was a late night though. Benjamin streamed again and like very late. Uh, but despite that, I still slept pretty good. Also, yeah, my lip is still freaking weirdly swollen, but I figured out it was actually a mosquito bite. Or, yeah, a pretty large one probably. Because I didn't even feel any kind of, entry point or itchiness. Because it was just so swollen, I couldn't even pinpoint anything. But it's retracted a little, and I can feel where it is. It's like right there. So I did actually get bitten by a mosquito right in the lip, right next to it. Anyway, what are you guys talking about? Air and water move in lockstep. With the dirt? What? What does that mean, Clary? What is that force horizontally? It's the same force. I mean, relative density also applies to a very low medium that's very wide. It's gonna try to even out. So if it's stuck a little glob in the middle, it's going to try to even out with the density that directly is beside it. So it's gonna move sideways into the available volume. It's the same relative density disequilibrium that's doing that. If it's hot, they might want shade. That's an interesting tip. I don't know if they're like bothered by the sun though. I mean, they seem to do like great, like the first week. And I mean, the sun over here, it's not like it's, I don't know, the sun in the United States. It's not that hot, really. It's not that intense. I mean, if there would be like heat waves coming off the roofs, yeah, that's different. But I mean, it's not that hot, and there's plenty of wind. So, but thanks for thinking with me. Hello, also Steamy Traveler. Good to see you. Right. Yeah, by the way, yeah, 1620 shows, it is quite a lot. So is 1,000, but I mean, if you just keep doing it every day and you pull through without quitting for some reason, yeah, then it's gonna build like that. Yeah, and around 2024, it's gonna reach the 2000, the 2000th show somewhere in the end of it. Great going. Yeah, right. Well, for the sake of just keeping going, it's certainly an achievement. Unfortunately, not every single show has been like super great, but that's also because of the overall live setup. And but there's certainly been good moments. I'd like to say it's around 50-50. Then again, I might be judging my own performance at a high standard, a higher standard. It's just I wish that I had like something that I could just really comfortably start talking about every single time, and I'm getting better at it because I just need to do that. And I don't always think of subjects ahead of time. There's like things I think about, but I think about them because I haven't really reached a full conclusion yet, and it's like interesting because it's like new data and I'm trying to assimilate it, but there's nothing really that I can say about it yet. I could say like, oh yeah, I'm getting more interested in Dr. Shiva. He has a lot of interesting things to say, and hey, if you'd follow that, you'd probably understand why I thought it was interesting. But I'm just trying to subtly figure things out using Dr. Shiva's oversight blueprint to compare it. Like, how much on target is he? And it seems like he's really on target. I'm just trying to find if there's like flaws in his in the energy of his roots or the root of his energy. And yeah, I'm not really finding anything that's a warning sign of some kind just yet. Like sometimes almost, but it's like he's just really intense and focused on his objectives. And sometimes that can be a little bit weird. Because most people aren't really like that. Anyway. Oh, Benjamin was also great. Flat Earth Debates, man, was super, super long. Like to be fair, I got a bit sick of it eventually because it went way past 6 p.m. for my doing, the after show. It just kept on going and going, and I was like exhausted eventually. But overall, it was a really good show. And no computer crashes on Nathan's side, so Nathan's computer seems to be doing much better than previous times. That is great as well. Uh, think I'll hit the 3,000. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe not. I mean, it's like that should be around 2030. It's all gonna depend on what the world's gonna be like by that time. If we're actually gonna overcome this thing, or if we're gonna succumb to it. So, I mean, there's no point for me to do an early bird show if like the entire world is just completely imprisoned. There's no point. It will just be escapism then. It's not like I'm gonna be able to provide you any more tools to get out of that position. Like anything I'd be saying by that time would be too late, if the world would indeed have succumbed to this neo-feudalist takeover. That's another 4 years? No, it's more than 4 years. I've been doing the early bird show for more than 4 years, September. Hope we defeated the woke mind virus. Nah, yeah, by that time I do. No, Zeptepi. No, I'm not gonna do that. What doesn't do show? Yeah, I do shows on weekends, Tarot. What are you talking about? It is weekend right now. But I mean, who knows? Like how I'm gonna do the show. Maybe I will have more breaks or whatever. I feel like having a break myself, really. But I mean, what am I even gonna do with all that time? Yeah, FED, I know. We're not talking about FED though. Anyway, got an Illuminati croissant here. Hello, LSG. Good to see you. weird thing to say, Steamy Traveler. It's not because Nathan is rich, it's because he has a life and a family. Yeah, Nathan does get a lot of super chats and all that. But I guess that it's really just about the super chatting though. The problem is I'd probably be able to score similar amounts of super chats. It's just that I don't actually get any of it that way. That was always the problem. Is Fiber Oats in the chat? No, haven't seen him yet. He was there yesterday. What are you talking about, Odds? Has to be shared among the panel. No, nothing is shared among the panel. We don't get anything. No, we don't get a cut. Nobody gets a cut. Oh, I'm kidding? No, I'm not kidding. It's been like that from the start. My god, you guys don't even fucking know that? What, you think I'm getting paid to do that shit? Does not sound the most fair. Oh yes, let's be whiny complaining about it. With money from Nathan. Oh, sure, Nathan should donate to my PayPal periodically. I agree to that. Can't make him. You are too generous. What do you think? You think I should charge him? Well, that's just the end of it then. I mean, what the fuck is the point? What is the point? Why are you trying to do that? How about donations? Donations actually help my situation. It's the only thing that has. Yeah? Going to Nathan and saying, oh, I want a fee. I want a standard fee. Yeah, that's not gonna help. It's not gonna help him either. Hello, Richard G. Hello, Truth Over Comfort. Yeah, it is about truth. It's also about reach. I mean, Nathan has a lot of eyes on him. It's worth being on that panel for free, just for that reason alone. I mean, half the people that find my channel, half or more, maybe all of them, Yeah, it's pretty much 99% of everybody that's ever subscribed to my channel and found me in the chat is through Nathan Oakley, through the Flat Earth debates. I hope you guys realize that. Yeah? Why would I charge? Not you. Yeah, that's right. You're like the 1%, Clutch. Found me through Owen. You did? How? Like through the D Live chat or something? Huh. There's some, yeah, most of that 1% comes through the people that bump into me in D Live. So those are really the exception. But throughout all of YouTube, everybody's only ever like, hey, I saw your channel through Nathan. That's most people. I don't really have a reach. Found me through Champagne. Okay, he's that heavy. Goody. Talking in chats before what? You mean in the YouTube days? But was it through D Live or through YouTube? I don't think I even was there on YouTube. I mean, as soon as I found out about him, he like was banned on YouTube very quickly. What's the ether? That depends on what you think it is. There's a lot of things that are associated with ether. A lot of those things are all very different. Some of those things are completely conceptual, an aberration. Ether to medium wireless communication. Yeah, no, not really though, George Sanford. See, wireless communication radio doesn't need a medium. The air is the medium. Yeah, don't you get it? Like same for light. Yeah, the air is the medium. This is the medium. So ether, a medium within a medium. Ether is the virtual medium that is presupposed based on the misassumption that light and radio, yeah, I'm here saying it, that radio are waves. They're not actually waves. It's very convoluted. So light, definitely not a wave. And since radio is an extension, in extension light, it's not really a wave either. Although there is allegedly a speed to it, to the propagation, or is it propulsion? The moving of radio throughout space, and that's a bit odd. I don't really know how to put it all together like that yet. No, well, hey, how about you shove fucking Witsit, the Pope of Ether, up your ass, Septepi? How about that? How about we don't fucking invite him for his garbage bullshit explanation? Ugh. Yeah, there is no speed of light, Nina logic puppy. Is no measured speed of light. It's all calculated, presupposed, based on celestial distance assumptions. There is no measured speed of light. Zero. There isn't any. By saying that without air, radio cannot propagate? No, it can. It actually inhibits it, just like it does with light. But it is going through air. There is a medium for air. It's not the necessary antecedent, but it is the medium for it. There's no other medium that is required for it to move the way it does. Yeah, ether is completely superfluous. No, ether is not the quantum level. The freaking quantum level has nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's right. They don't need air. They don't need anything but space to move through. Are there devices that measure radio signals? Yeah, sure. There are devices that measure radio signals. Not waves, though. Because the wave idea, even with radio, is only a model. Because it's not actually waves. Signals travel in straight lines? Yeah, you're damn right they do. Like, it's all just colloquially baked in. It's like, oh, it's wave, light wave, particle duality, radio wave. They're just waving it all out, man. They want everything to be waves, and then there's this mystical medium that nobody can touch, and somebody can be the priest over that and make everybody fucking retarded to cult science fiction nonsense, so that they can be distracted for long enough to have everybody exterminated by the beast system. Yeah, let's crank it up to overkill. There's lies planted everywhere. Bad suggestions. The worst option of how to think about things. The most distorting way of how to think about things is all spread out throughout the very way we frickin' get taught how to explain things in school by other people. The traditions have all bent towards a certain set of approaches that are all mistaken. Radio must propagate over something. Why? Why must it do that, Clary? Based on what? Oh, it must do that. Must do this. Why? Why do you draw a conclusion that it must? Electromagnetic waves. Yeah, another supposed wave. Nonsense. Like, that very description, electromagnetic wave, is fucking retarded. Right? Oh, but light's an electromagnetic wave. It's all total reality inversion horse shit. And you've all been indoctrinated. You can't frickin' prove anything is an electromagnetic wave. Just listen to the very combination of the frickin' words. What? You think anything electric is waves? You think magnetism has something to do with waves? No. No, they don't. Magnetism isn't waves. Electricity isn't waves. They're not waves. None of it are fucking waves. None of it. Nothing is waves. Yeah? The only fucking thing that is a wave is sound. Sound is a wave. That's it. That's the only fucking thing in physics that is a wave. Yeah? Everything else is not a wave. Everything else is not a wave. Okay? Now look at the lingo. Everything is made into a wave. Everything. It isn't. Nothing is a wave except sound, except matter moving. Yeah, water can wave, that's right. Material can wave in relation to other material. That's correct. Yeah. Just like sound is a wave, or arguably a wave, a distribution pattern. So it's even debatable whether sound itself is even a wave. Now that I come to think of it. It is literally debatable whether sound is actually a wave or not. You hear? So it might, if in the nitty-gritty end of it all, it might turn out that literally nothing is a wave. That waves don't actually exist. That the waves are merely a physicality assumption bias-based mistake of interpretation of physical reality. That waves are merely a concept, and we've come to call the ocean rocking as it does. Those are waves. The waves are crashing on the beach. That'll be the closest thing we will ever find to waves, because in the real nitty-gritty details of things, waves don't actually exist. Yeah. It could be. I'm not saying that they absolutely don't exist, but it might be. It's just everything is freaking called waves, and none of it is waves. So it's literally there just to mislead your mind. The lingo of the physics have been set in a way to purposely mislead your mind. Yeah? That's right. Mind blown indeed. Because it's fucking true. Scattered radio waves. Yeah, blocking the signal. Doesn't mean waves. Waves with hands. Yeah, but that again, that's colloquial waving, Clary. Yeah, colloquially waving. Oh, colloquially. Oh, yeah, look at the waves of the ocean. Yeah, colloquial waves, you could think of it as existing because you can describe things very physical, assumption, bias based description. And it's like, yeah, waves. Oh, I can wave with my hand. Oh, the water's waving. But when it comes to like substance of effects in physics, then in reality, waves are not really present like that. With laser rangefinder? No, it's not the same with laser rangefinder. Jim Smith. That's very cute. Might be with radar. Which is mysterious to me. Why would it have a speed like that? Why isn't it like... If light is effectively instantaneous and you can't measure the speed, then how could it be slowed down from instantaneous? That is mysterious to me. Brainwave. It's all just words. Yeah, there's no brainwaves. It's fields. Yeah, all this electromagnetic. You know what is involved in electromagnetics? It's not waves. Yeah? Fields. Fields. Fields are real. Yeah? Waves? No. Fields. Palpable, measurable, predictable. Yeah, okay. Joke's done. You can stop making stupid jokes about it now. It's not funny anymore. And that means stop it or I'll frickin' time you out. Are you saying that brain waves are electrical field patterns? I'm saying that everything that even carries information is field-based. Yes. Like, we have measurable electromagnetic properties. We have a magnetic field, effectively. And other subtle fields. You know what they're called? Your aura. Your astral body. Those are all fields. Not waves. Fields. Get it? Like a magnet. Well, this title certainly is gonna get some kind of attention. Have any use for the oscilloscope? I don't know. Do you have any use for an oscilloscope, George Sanford? Do you? For what? For auto repair. Cool. Good for you. Now, what's the point of you bringing that up? Yeah, I know, Jim Smith. I know. And laser rangefinders don't use a measured speed of light. Just to emphasize that, they don't. They don't measure the speed of the laser. See? Works differently. It's much smarter, yeah? The engineers that built those things are like 1,000 fucking times smarter than any of you. Yeah? Because they simply figured out how to do it. Very simply. Very engineered. Yeah? You know what they do? Take 2 lasers, not one. Measure the laser speed. Fucking retard. No. Yeah? They don't. Yeah? A device doesn't measure that. It's insane to think that you would do that. Yeah? Just a tiny motion and it would all be disrupted. It's totally idiotic to assume that laser range speed measuring devices actually use the speed of light to do anything. It's totally retarded when you really think about it. Yeah? You know what they do instead? They take 2 lasers. Those lasers are slightly non-parallel. Yeah? Slightly non-parallel. That means that over distance, wherever it's going to hit, it's going to be slightly closer. The further away it is. Yeah? And then you have a third little thingy, specialized little camera, that can detect exactly where the laser hits anything. Then it can measure the distance between. Yeah? And then from how fast the distance between changes, it can calculate a differential and thereby a distance over time situation. And that's how they measure the speed. They don't fucking measure the speed of the laser beam, you idiot! Yeah? It's called engineering. Using their brain, being sophisticated. Detect brainwaves? Somehow. How do mentalists do that? Well, if they can really read minds in that way, then yes. You would basically share fields. You would enter somebody else's minefield. You could say you attune to them. To a certain degree, you could guess, or you could say that I am a bit of a mentalist, although I'm not really like active with that. But I definitely use it in combination with my empathy to figure out the pattern, basically to back engineer and eventually even reconstruct the entire way of somebody's being. More information you have about how they work, more cross-referencing material you have of how they are, the better you will get at it. But yeah, I don't know about brain waves, and like I don't know what, like, how the intuition does things based on like physics standard like that, Tarot. So there's not really a lot of point asking me about that. I've never like done equipment tests on these kinds of things. No, they don't, Graldon. No, they don't. Just explain what they do. Two lasers that are slightly non-parallel. And then over the distance between the two arrival points of the laser, the further the distance is, the shorter the distance between it becomes. It can be measured. It is actually measured, the distance between the laser points. That's how they know. They don't measure the speed of light. Like, regular equipment wouldn't even be able to fucking do it. Don't you get it, you idiots? Even if you thought the speed of light was real, it's so insane, the numbers behind that. Equipment wouldn't be able to fucking do it. Especially per default. You would have to have such incredibly sensitive, delicate equipment just to do that. It's fucking retarded, people. If you actually believe that they're literally measuring the speed of light with like any device that's like that you can hold in your hand, you're fucking out of your mind. Doesn't exist. Can't measure the speed of light. It doesn't actually have a speed. It's calculated. That's how they have that number. It's calculated based on the presupposition of a distance between Earth and a celestial body, and then they calculate how fast light must be. It's all fraud. Light doesn't have a speed. Yeah, light speed is a begging the question fallacy. That's correct, truth over comfort. A little far-fetched, you think? Yeah. Ken Wheeler agrees with me. Oh, goody. Hey, fiber roads. Flip flop wheeler. I don't know, man. I don't care about that guy. He's a wizard and he makes up techno babble bullshit. Oh man. The Illuminati croissant certainly hit the spot. We needed that. Light doesn't travel. That's right, it's instantaneous. Light just manifests. It becomes, it is everywhere. And it gets transformed. Absorbed. Until it's gone. And then there is no more light. That's what it is. It is instantaneous. There is no measured speed of light. You can't measure something that's instantaneous. You can't measure the speed of it. It's in the Illuminati croissant. Vegetable paste. I mean, of course, Illuminati croissants are vegan, you know, what else? But I mean, they're pretty nice, though. One hell of a stopwatch. Oh, really? Of course, some random person. 1676? Right. Okay, let's look up this shit before I make anything. Oh, he's an astronomer! Oh, that's a very promising sign. Oh, frickin'. Dude. Dude, what the fuck is... You can't be serious. This person that just... You can't be fucking serious. Really? Graldon? I mean, the guy is literally a guy who stares at celestial bodies with telescopes. That's his career. You think he's actually measured the speed of light, did you? Really? I mean, really? Fuck's sake. No, I haven't, Tarot. That sounds freaking gross. I don't want to know about digital zombie people. Chip, like... There's a movie about that shit from the 80s. What's it called again? It's a really stupid movie. I forgot the name. Let's see if I can find it. Oh wait, did I just... Yeah. I mean, that's a fucked up movie. Deadly Friend. From somewhere in the 80s or something. They do that. It's a really fucking stupid movie, by the way. Don't watch it. It's really embarrassingly stupid. And boring. And idiotic. There's some funny moments, but it's a crazy stupid movie. But yeah, in there it's like, oh, this person died from an accident, and they literally, oh, I'm gonna resurrect them by literally illegally implanting a robot chip in their brain, and then they suddenly become alive and they had gain robots. It's a really fucking stupid movie. That was in the 80s. Neuroprosthetics. But yeah, sure, hey, if that helps people that are paralyzed for some reason or have brain damage, yeah, sure. Why not? But I mean, just realize that, hey, you know how all this equipment that we're using, including washing machines and microwaves and all that they all have like Internet of Things chips in it that can technically spy on you, that do actually collect sound data, and that when you then basically get rid of it, bring it to the junkyard, that literally the digital equipment in that device can be extracted and the metadata collected from it, and that's officially happening, that China does that, for example. Yeah. Now imagine, oh, you're just gonna get a chip implant. Oh, yeah. What the fuck you think is gonna happen? Like, of course, those frickin' chips are gonna have emergency clauses. Where they can, if they really needed to, get some kind of bizarre control over you. So, duh. Right? I mean, hey, if you're gonna get brain chip implants, then a good shutdown button, emergency shutdown button, would be like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Like, you don't have to tell them. It's just standard procedure. The turn off switch. Right? Just like in Deadly Friend, one of the dumbest fucking movies of the 80s. That is kind of funny because of how stupid it is. Because, like, in that movie, resurrect a girl, by the way, with the brain chip implant that he did. None of it makes sense. But then he, like, remote controls, turns her off, which means dies, and then turn back on again. I mean, that movie is fucked up, but it's very appropriate for a comparison about what could be done. I mean, do you really trust Elon Musk? You should listen to Shiva about some of what he does. Can I tell your fridge to serve up an ice? Yeah, you can tell your fridge that, Scraddle, but it's not gonna do anything. But it will convey the message eventually. The message will be conveyed that the owner was silly enough to actually talk to the refrigerator like it was a sentient being and could do something. That will be on record. Yeah? So make all the jokes you like to try to make it sound silly, but being quite literal and real here. Yeah? Your fridge does actually actively listen to you, record everything that it hears ever, and then when you get rid of it because it's broken and old or whatever, or needs repair, you'll probably get a new one, extra cheap. That's how I got my new washing machine. The new one was the same version, very cheap. It got repaired. No, they just replaced it with a one that wasn't broken. And they're obviously taking it to send back to China, the digital part of it, because you get, apparently, you can make a lot of money off that. I only remembered about it afterward. But yeah, it's like, I mean, you got to be in that business to get that done. But yeah, digital equipment spies on you. It absolutely does. It has been doing that roughly since 2010 with everything. All computers, all household equipment. All of it has these things in it. All of it. Like, it's not even a separate device that's added into the equipment. Some of this shit is like built in the very chips that are used in equipment. It's just in there. You can't not have it in there. All the little pieces that are used for electronics and all that shit. Some of them, the best ones, have literally these things in them that you cannot avoid. Technology itself has become a spying device. You use technology, it has a spying device baked in the very fabric of it. It's not even a machine that's separately installed. It becomes part of the very foundation of the equipment. Okay? You can't get rid of it anymore. Everything's gonna spy on you and you can't avoid that. Unless you're literally a technophobe and you literally have no electronics around whatsoever. That's the only way you will avoid it. Scrap electronics, that's right. And also material recycling in general. I think China's like trying out a lot. But yeah, scrap electronics especially, it's a big project. No, you don't use voice commands. What the fuck are you talking about, Tarot? It doesn't need a voice interface to spy on you. I mean, yeah, the equipment that literally has that, like Siri and all those stupid little internet talk interface thingies, yeah, they definitely spy on you. They're literally made to do that. I mean, can't get more overt than that. But electric equipment in itself has this. All of it. Except maybe my keyboard, yeah? Yep. Yeah, thanks for telling me. Right. So anything past 2010 all has has advanced sound recording electronics. All of it. There's no exception. Yeah, I'm unmuted. 5G LED streetlight. Yeah, I've heard of that. No, I'm not muted, Richard G. You're just behind. The fuck? Oz, what are you talking about? Well, I'm just not saying anything, Richard G. Right. But yeah, Luke Duke, waves don't exist. They're yeah, that's like the first half of this show. I talked about that. We kind of moved on. But it's about physics, how so many things are called waves. Electromagnetic waves, especially. All these things in physics are having been named into waves, and none of them are actually waves. It's like waves is like the rage, man. Call everything waves, man. It's all waves. It's all waves. Negative waves, brain waves, radio waves, electromagnetic waves. Yeah, guess what? None of them are actually waves. None of it. Yeah. Electricity, magnetism, they don't have waves. You know what they do have? Fields. Yeah? Fields, not waves. Yeah? There are no waves. There's no waves. They just call everything a wave based on this retarded ether presupposition bullshit belief. That's happened already in the early 20th century. None of it is waves. None. How about that? I mean, I've sort of been trying to say this over at Flat Earth Debate as well for a couple of years now, but it's just really standing out to me more and more that, like, there are no waves. Like, there aren't any. All these things called waves, none of them are waves. It's crazy. Oh, electrical current has a frequency. Yeah, that's because of the nature of AC/DC. It's just of how they turn it on. Yeah, they have oscillation, etc. Yeah, that's true enough. But that doesn't mean that the electricity itself is waves. It just means there is a pattern of how it's being operated that you could associate with the wave, like, or the swing of a pendulum, right? A wave, or the swing of a pendulum, yeah? Not actually a wave. Whoa, wind blowing out there. So basically, it's not a wave, but you can think of it as a wave. No, you can't think of it as a wave. They just force the word wave into it, as they force the word gravity into everything. It's not there. They just call it a wave. They just want you to associate things with wave. They want you to associate oscillation patterns with waves. They're not waves. Physically, there's not a wave happening. The conception of a wave is almost cultural in the face of physics. I'm not even joking. It's almost cultural. Do you see it? Do you see how that works? Like, oh, but you can think of it as a wave, so it's just like, oh, we just call it waves. It's just all going to be waves now. It's like a cultural thing. It's just makes it work easier when you think about it. You don't have to think about it so much. You just think of it as waves. It isn't a wave, though. Now, sure, there's oscillation patterns. That doesn't mean a wave, right? Just because it might look like a wave pattern doesn't mean it is literally a wave, as in the physics property situation of a wave, yeah? I mean, I can draw a wave on a piece of paper and then, oh, look at this, represents a wave, like the ocean wave. But is it literally a wave? No, it's a pattern that we, because of the way it looks and the rhythm of it, we associate with waves. It's a wave pattern. Yeah? Not a wave. Doesn't that sound familiar? Wave pattern? Not a wave? Yeah. It's somewhere else, right? Where did we find that? Oh, yeah. Double slit experiment. Or double slit test. Knowing which path experiment. Yeah. Remember that? The light wave pattern? But it's not a wave. Hey! Can you see the pattern? Can you see the pattern of the wave? How everything is being portrayed as a wave when it actually isn't? Can you see it? Waves don't actually exist. They're just conceptual. But you can think of everything as waves, and then it's all just waves, man. We're all just waving, bro. Oh, dude. We got some major waves to surf, dude. Super wavy all and all. But yeah, there's no actual waves, though. Right? But if you tell physicists that there's no actual waves, they'll probably tell you, don't bring those negative waves. Right. There go, radar work. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Diver than Davy Nevet. Yeah. Wavelength, amplitude. It has something to do with radio. That's right. But the thing is that the radio itself isn't a wave. Yeah? Just like when they say, oh, we're gonna go with the wavelength of light. We're gonna change the wavelength and now, oh, it waves differently. Yeah, but there's nothing actually waving. And it doesn't have a speed. They're just changing the wavelength. Oh, the electromagnetic spectrum of the wave. Oh, waving. Yeah, but it's not a wave. It's just a pattern. It's not actually a wave. It's not moving through space as a wave. So yeah, there is a wavelength and amplitude that you could figure out with radio. It's true. But the funny thing is that it in itself, the very thing that gets spread around, signaled, all that thing is not actually a wave. But perhaps you could argue it has wave-like properties. Just as you could argue, well, there might be wave-like properties in light. The spectrum and things. But it's not a wave though. It's just you do something with it and treat it sort of as if it is a wave, and that works. You can alter it. But it's not actually a wave. Yeah. I mean, must be quite confusing, right? Nothing is a wave, but when you want to tinker with it, you can think of it as a wave, and it's actually quite functional to do that. It works out, but it isn't a wave. Yeah, Diver Dan Navy vet. I know. No, Oz, I don't think I have. Right, so yeah, there's some interesting mysteries to be figured out yet about the entirety of reality. I mean, I love this. I love doing this. Like, subjects like this is why I really wanted to go into Flat Earth. Because I knew I would be able to do this. Right? Because doing this is kind of, sort of, like what you would associate Pete and Pete doing, right? Water's actually an element. Ugh. Yeah, except they're fucking retarded and completely wrong, and it's curious and all that, but there's probably fraud involved. And definitely a misconception. This, however, is different. This is much more fundamental. It turns out that in physics, waves don't actually really exist. But some things seem to have, or what have been called, wave-like properties. Even though it's not a wave. It doesn't actually perpetuate like a wave, it doesn't behave like a wave. But there's things you can change about it. And they call that thing you're changing the frequency. and that changes the nature of the whole thing. Yet, the whole thing does not move through space like a wave. I mean, no wonder they had the whole craziness with the particle-wave duality. They just couldn't make up their mind. They just couldn't handle it. It's like, it's a particle, but it has wave-like properties, so it must be both. That's immediately where like somebody should like whack them on my head with a big wooden mallet. No, shut the fuck up, you idiot. It's not fucking both. It's not a wave. It has wave-like properties. It's weird. It's not a wave. It doesn't act like a wave. So, for some reason, wave conception is a big challenge within the entirety of the field of physics. All of it. Wave is an obstruction. It's a aberrant obstruction that suggests all things are waves when they are provably not. So that means it must be there to impede our progress in understanding. The waves are there to deceive us. If we start to think of it all as waves, then we are deceived. Yeah? Can relate to their deceit. I don't think it's a... Well, there might be people that are on purpose pushing it when they figured it out. Like, hey, this is something weird going on with the wave-like properties and does not wave, so let's just push its waves. There might have been some of that. Like early 20th century, for example. Like with the social engineering maneuver. The reshaping of the consciousness of the West. There might have been some people that were like, yeah, let's just turn on the waves with this one. That might have actually happened. But most people with that are still alive right now, that have went through this physics, they wouldn't have known. They would have naturally, as they're going through the tests and the research, just been inclined to like, yeah, it's probably a wave. I mean, all these wave-like functions and... Right? That would be natural. They wouldn't have been like, wait, what's going on? Why does it seem like a wave, but it's not really a wave? And no. I think most people they were rolled into this build-up understanding of physics. And yeah, it's just been reified into being literal waves in many fronts. Starting with the myth that light is a wave. That's really the most important one. Right? So we're talking about like earlier 20th century things. Like I don't know exactly when it was, but like between 1920 and 1960 or something. Feynman's era. He did a lot of it. Have to be... What are you talking about, Cleary? Slits have to be vertical? No, they don't. I don't get it. If you turn the slits the other way, then the pattern simply goes like that. So what are you talking about? Yeah. More flat earther versus flat earther should take place. Well, it's not particularly good, Tarot. But I mean, eventually, it's probably inevitable because with Sid and all them, they're going to keep continuing their science fiction genesis of physics. They're gonna keep doing it. They're gonna make up their own religion within it, basically. It's what they're already doing, right? The story of how it is interpreted. That's part of their religion. And yeah, I don't know, eventually it's probably just gonna be inevitable to do more debates. Won't budge on a point. Yeah, but there's nothing to budge, Oz. There is just nothing to budge. Ah. Anyway, I hope you guys are appreciating the show. It's been very interesting, I think. It's good. Okay, yeah, Richard, I mean... low classical homeopath. But yeah, I mean, the whole ether gang, the ether riddles need to be addressed. Because their riddle is going to keep on going, and there needs to be a proper dissection of it. I think it would be great if Nathan at some point did like a really elaborate dissection, right? As we would dissect baller wizard videos out there or anti-flat earther videos like McKeegan, right? Take a lot of time to refinedly analyze it and all that. It should be done with the holy ether riddles. When they do the whole rollout of it, so proud of it, it should be addressed like in detail as to what is it, where are they getting that from, and where are they jumping the gun and reifying, and then how do they stack that reification onto the other assumptions that they then also reify. Like to really get a super mentally clear, refined analysis of the entire riddle of ether. That would be great if that would happen. I think, has it already? Have we already done that? I think just rough analysis, but I think we should do it review style sometime in the future. right? Or Nathan should do that if he wants to. When it becomes relevant, when some Etherean does a stupid jab against Nathan again, that's a good reason to start doing that. So if that happens again, next time I will suggest that. What? "2023 is quiet for us? You mean quiet?" Is it quiet for us? Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I mean, don't forget, like, Bob Nordell died recently and all that. So I think that the Ethereans just need a bit of a room to build their bravada back up. Although Witsit seems to already be going full steam. I don't know, what is he up to these days? Full moon. Yeah, I noticed that, Tarot. Yeah. Yesterday night it was already quite full too. I guess that's partially what kept me up so late. I mean, a full moon does really kind of keep me awake and restless. Man, it's such a freaking beautiful day. This is unbelievable. Like, not a singular speck or a trace of cloud or even an airplane. I see zero airplane trails or anything. It's just a perfect blue sky. I haven't seen this quite a while. Just look at this. It's just unbelievable how blue it all is. Totally spotless. Totally. And the moon is out where? Yes, Luke. No, there's no moon in the sky right now. Over here. Just last night, it was like almost perfectly full. And I did see it last night. It's quite prominently there. It's not right here right now. In the night, I'm sure it'll be back. Out during the day too. Yes, that's right, said Tappy. It was. Was like the it was light for a very long time too. Like, it was still not perfectly dark after 11 p.m. So this whole summer, it's really summer. Like, it's really getting there. Yeah, I know, Zeptepi. I know you live here. Full moon in June is called strawberry moon. What? Where are you getting that from? Ripening of strawberries. Might be. Might be, Derek. Right. Anyway, I hope you guys have been enjoying the show. It's almost over. Can you believe that? Well, it was interesting. It was a good item. Bit risky, but a good item. Like, because I wasn't entirely sure. But every time I'm not entirely sure, you might have taken notice. What I do is I just roll it out. Because guess what happens? I got 10 responses in my chat or something from different people. Pipe up for the first time. Probably some of them triggered trolls. Or just physics people that disagree for some reason. That are staying in the background and only speak up with that sort of thing. And they gave me stuff to reflect upon. And everything they said basically confirmed my suspicion, because when I brought it up at first, it was kind of a suspicion. It's like, yeah, it seems to be prevalent. Wave descriptions that aren't actually waves in physics. So interesting. So I just thought, like, yeah, let's just say that there's no waves at all. What if there weren't any waves? What if waves in physics are actually a conspiracy? And so I literally did that. I improvised it today and got a bunch of responses. People got into it. And the conclusion in the end is that my suspicion was most likely correct. There don't seem to be any waves. Not really. Just a lot of things that are called wave. Or that are, yeah, like wave properties of things that aren't waves. That mostly. Yeah? Well, let's change the frequency of light. But light isn't a frequency, because that would indicate that it's a wave, but it's not a wave. It's seen as a particle, even though it's instantaneous. It's not a wave. Yet it has wave-like properties. And the same goes for radio. So there's just this giant wavy confusion in physics. And the waves have won. Everything's named wave. What about mechanical waves? Well, yeah, material can wave. Like, waves in nature do exist. But it's always material that's waving, right? Where does a wave come in? One material in relation to other material. So you could argue that sound is waves. But then again, it's not literally waves, really. It's more like this. Is this a wave? What is a wave? Is a wave this? Or is a wave this? Like, what is it? Right? Am I right? That's a good question to ponder, right? Because in sound and music, there's literally two types of waves. There's the amplitudinal and the other one, which I forget the name now, which makes me sound really stupid. But there's... what's the other one called? Well, I described it, right? There's like the string, which is like a wave like this. And then there's the amplitudinal, which is much more like this. And that's how speakers work too. Sinusoidal wave and a longitudinal wave. Right. Yeah. Right. That one. So is sound actually a wave? Are waves of water actually waves? What is a wave? Well, a wave is a description. When you really think about it, it's just a description. It's something that your psyche does in order to order a pattern. Right? Waves are a pattern. It's something that we might recognize in the moment. It's like, hey, this is a wave pattern. Does that mean it is waves? That the thing you're observing, that it is waves? Like, for example, if you see waves in the ocean, does that mean that water is a wave? Right? That sounds like a silly question, but it's really worth to ponder. So, if water can be spotted in nature to act within wave-like patterns in certain circumstances, but it's not a wave, then why the fuck would you assume that light, with its frequency, oscillation, wave-like properties, and you can change it, but it's not a wave, really? It's officially like a particle. And why would you assume it's a wave anyway? Right? When is water a wave? No. It's a liquid. It's molecules, particles. It's not a wave, but it can behave like a wave. Right? Right, so sound and a wave are like secondary properties, really. They're secondary things. Things that happen to things that aren't waves. So waves is something that actually happens to things that aren't waves. Right? Because a wave is merely a pattern. It's just a pattern. It's not a substance. A wave is not a substance. It's a pattern. Isn't that just fascinating? Everything else is a wave pattern. Right, yeah, fair enough. But technically, even those waves in the ocean are not waves. They're water that's behaving in a wave pattern. What we say are waves is our physicality assumption bias based colloquial description. That's what a wave really is. It's much closer. It's not a physics thing that we call things waves, right? It's just, that's the pattern. That's what we recognize. That's how we size it up, and it's based in physicality assumption bias. It's just this routine that we do in our first perception. But in physics, waves is not a substance, it's just a pattern. Things aren't waves. Like, nothing really is waves. Wave is not a substance. Wave is only a secondary thing, an effect that can happen to a substance. Right? So light is definitely not a wave. Definitely not. Can waves be considered a form of energy transfer from location? Arguably, by the forces model, yes, Steamy Traveler. Like water waves, yes. There is a balance of force that's happening that causes the waves. And that is energy transfer. Now you could argue even that with light, that it is also sort of an energy thing. I wouldn't say transfer necessarily. The whole thing is an energy transfer from electricity into light. So when it comes to waves in physical substance, that's definitely energy transfer, kinetic energy transfer, that causes that pattern, right? But yeah, when it comes to like frequency, light or radio, that's different, because it's like a sub property. It's not even the material itself doing it. It's like, yeah, a sub property. It's weird. Do you think the moon causes waves on the ocean? No. Definitely not. Yeah, the moon is just a light in the sky. So are all the other celestials. So is the sun. None of it has any like force-based influence. No force-based influence from any of the celestials on Earth, on any of the materials on Earth. The only direct influence they do seem to have, indirectly by the way, is heat and cold. I mean, the sun obviously, well, it's not radiating heat, but there's a lot of heat arriving. So that has a direct influence, energy-wise, and moon arguably introduces cold, or however that's happening. It cools off, or seems to. But they're not having any kind of physical displacement-based influence on anything on Earth. They're just lights in the sky. They don't have a physical body that has any kind of physical influence. Right. Anyway, I think I'm moving towards rounding out the show. It's been very technical today. Hope you guys appreciated it. Let me know in the chat. Thanks, Bear. Moon astrology causes tides and rise in moon. What? Causes tide? No, Tarek. Where are you getting that from? No, Tarek. Full moon does not cause tides. The moon doesn't have any influence on the tides. They do have influence on emotions, though, and on hormonal cycles. But it really doesn't influence the tides. It really doesn't. Right. But yeah, you can definitely say the moon astrologically causes human emotions. It does. And not just human, also animals. Like the moon, its cycle has a measurably, because it like is more enhanced when it appears in the clear sky than if it's behind clouds all the time. Yeah, it has a direct influence over behavior, not just human beings, animals too. Like, for example, and I'm not fully sure about this, it should be kind of statistical, but I think that on average, you would probably, in a place where there's a lot of cats around, you would probably hear more cats fights. All that, you would probably hear that on average, statistically more, around full moons and the build up to full moons than in the rest of the month. On average. It's not just humans. Your cat says, oh, it's very funny. Very funny. Like werewolves. Okay. Yeah. No, I have that. I have a werewolf in me like that. If only I could use werewolf power to grow beards or something, but unfortunately that's not happening. I'm good at simplifying and explaining things. Hey, it's what I like to do. Yeah? Because complicated things are not complicated necessarily. You can always simplify things. I mean, even yesterday's show, explaining about FED from the day before, I just like summarized what they were talking about for an hour straight, and I just summarized it in like 5 minutes to make it simple so that you would like get the key to understand the whole thing without being like, I'm not entirely sure what he's talking about now. What? No, I just put it all together. Overarching patterns. That's what I start describing. Gravity. Shut up, George Sanford. You're just trying to poke now. Gravity doesn't exist. Werewolf shapeshift. No, the proper word is lycanthropes. Not shapeshifters. Shapeshifters are much more general genre. And shapeshifters obviously, in general, have the luxury of attaining any shape. Werewolves can't just take any shape, they have 2 forms. Those are classified lycanthropes. Do you know arches like the one over your head used to be related to electricity? That's very mud-floody Tartarian of you to think of everything as some kind of electrical and ticker tech. But there's some spiritual truth to it. I think there's like feng shui type elements in architecture. I think that shapes in architecture have their distinct spiritual influence. It's part of the reason why I even started my symbolics.nl website and jewelry, why I started making my own jewelry, because I figured out patterns have an influence. Architecture has an influence on your spirit, on your consciousness. So what can I do with that? And I expressed that curiosity and all that in making jewels for myself that I wear. And for other people too, but mostly really for myself, to be fair. Because patterns have an influence. And you really notice that when you walk into a very old church building. You can feel it. The architects of those churches knew. They knew how they were influencing. They had knowledge. They had a developed, refined knowledge of the psychosomatic, psychological influences of architecture on man. They knew. They would have to had known. That's why churches, all these things are built in such similar ways everywhere. Why do there certain reoccurring types of things? Because of its specific influence. Yeah, you get an aura. Because it's alive. It becomes alive. In spirit, that is. It's infused by those that walk through it. Like a home is infused by the people that live there. Yeah. Yeah, that's that supposed fires. That's all super dubious. It's really bizarre. All these gigantic cities with like obviously massive amounts of people living there, and then they all just burn down. It's all really, really weird. I think that like the history of America during colonization even has been just completely overhauled. That some of the things that in history are marked as having happened, that they have happened. But those were probably like little cutouts of things that you can simply transplant onto whatever you're going to want history to be later on, while basically rubbing out entire imperial situations and bigger powers that were present, and the things that have happened were just all kind of scrubbed out of the way, and now it's like, oh, they were all just Indians or something, when it obviously wasn't. When there are very old architecture buildings that they were not built by the colonizers. Fact! Not built by the colonizers. They were there. Yeah? Freaking Indians in wigwams smoking peace pipes did not build those freaking old buildings, okay? Fact! I mean, what more do you need to say, really? Beyond that point. That's a fact. The history has been scrubbed. The history of North America has been scrubbed. Fact. The evidence is right there. Yeah? Indians in wigwams smoking peace pipes and hunting buffaloes did not freaking build those ancient architecture, buildings. Fact. So history has been scrubbed. Fact. Right? So there was probably a civilization there. Oh, Benjamin talked about this recently as well, and it's just what it is. It's very likely that America had a really big civilization, potentially even more advanced than Europe, but it wouldn't have been that much more advanced. And they went through their own Babylonic corruption. They got seduced. There's even weird pictures of this. Old pictures. They probably got seduced, turned into a Babylon. Then the Indians that were left eventually, they were basically the people that are like, I'm not going to be part of Babylon. I'm going to go in the wild. I'm going to homestead. I'm going to figure it out. And then eventually they end up mostly kind of hunting instead of farming, really. And that still works. Just hunting, going around, while Babylon had crashed. So the Indians that were Native Americans that were there were probably the people that were like left after Babylon was destroyed, because they moved out into the wilds. They rejected the rapid modernization and probably demonification, like where they were gonna worship shit and do drugs and dark magic and terrible religions. Babylon, typical Babylon. It's always the same kind of pattern. So America, the American Empire, pre-American Empire, was probably getting a Babylon crash, and the Native Americans that were eventually left were the ones that scattered away from Babylon to the wilds while it crashed in on itself. And that's probably roughly what happened, at least in North America. That's Tartaria, that pre-American empire there. Right? And arguably that pre-American empire reached all the way into Russia and China. And it would have been later reconfigured as Mongolia. Mongolians! Damn you, Mongolians! Yeah, that supposedly conquered the biggest swath of land in entire history. Right. Just guys on horses. Yeah, sure. No, that was probably all Tartaria. It was America, it was Mongolia, and, well, you got a big freaking territory right there. So, yeah, it would have been one of the biggest empires in world history. And they scrubbed it away. But was it a cohesive empire? Or was it a bunch of territories that kind of joined in an alliance against the world? How do we know? It's not a lot of leads. I mean, in order to keep an empire that big, actually cohesive, you would either have to have really supreme laws that you don't even need to check up on anybody, because they're so strict and good and everybody just does it like a machine, where you don't need the attention for it to keep running all the time. You don't need the leadership to be present all the right? It would have to be either that, or they would have to have had some technological advancement, like maybe a very, very, very early form of radio communication. Yeah? If you'd have radio communication in those times, can you imagine the unbelievable advantage for a big empire to have radio in a world where nobody even knows what radio is? Yeah.
that would have actually worked. So what if Tartaria simply was a early technological rising empire? North America, Asia. And they kind of conquered the whole place and advanced technologically, had radio when people were still they were still working on just like steel and shit. Like, whoa, we got really good steel for really good swords. Oh yeah, we got radio. Right? That would have been a massive advancement and would make it like halfway plausible for there to be a cohesive big empire and for it to be completely scrubbed too from history, because the modern rulers don't need people to know that there was this breakout empire that suddenly developed technology out of nothing. Yeah? No. It has to be a bunch of Mongolians on horses, mostly. And Indians smoking peace pipes in wigwams. That's what they want it to be. That's what they want you to think about it. They don't want you to realize that it was probably something much bigger and much more advanced for the time being. Have old radios been? No. Not that I know of, anyway. Did we kill them to steal their tech? No. They probably imploded. They had probably such technological advancements that they corrupted because of the power increase, and some of the leadership would have very likely started a Babylon tradition, basically becoming a human death cult and corrupting it all, collapsing it in on itself. Kind of compared to like the politicians you're seeing now in Europe and America. Very, 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 very fucking similar to that. That type of thing. Yeah, people think, we're gods, we're going to destroy it all. That probably happened to Tartaria. And it worked. Nobody could compete with them, so they just took the tools and then they destroyed everything. Babylon style. And the remnants were the people that were like really cool with living in the wilderness. Like the Native American tribes that were left, and the Mongolians with their horse people in their huts. Very similar. They were the ones that were left. Wigwams with very funny. Oh, yeah, they wouldn't. They would have probably avoided it all. Yeah? Because once a early radio-based empire starts to turn Babylonian and they're literally gonna kill everyone and take your freedom, guess what? You don't want no fucking radio around you. You're gonna go in the wilds. You don't want to be found. You're not gonna take a fucking radio with you. Radio is like the frickin' Palantir. You don't know who's watching. Yeah, they wouldn't want a frickin' radio because that's how Babylon powers would track them down, probably. That's right, Palantir stones. Exactly, LSG. Yeah, so don't expect any Native American tribes to have ancient radios, because those would have been seen as devices of the devil, of Sauron, of the Babylon Empire that it had become and was collapsing. They would have thrown all that shit away. I mean, what are you going to get on the radio? You're going to be identified, tracked down, or you're going to get really disgusting propaganda that will make you want to kill yourself. I mean, you want the radio in that kind of circumstances? I wouldn't. I'd throw that shit away. Burn it. Got a CIA document. Oh, yes. Well, the CIA, man. Oh, if you really want to know what happened, just read a CIA document. I mean, those are super reliable. It's not like their entire motto is to literally make everybody in the entire world believe things that are incorrect. It's not like that's literally their motto. Yes, let's trust the CIA document. It will tell us how it really is. Of course. So we destroy now. We don't need to destroy our tech. You need to learn to make your own tech and not be dependent on the monster mega corporation factory made technological productions, because those things are going to be spies. Everything, right? So that's what it's all about. Can you make from scratch the technology that you will use? That's the big one. Now, it's very easy for me to say, no, I can't. I'm literally using a computer right here. I can't make any of this. And in that, I also give recognition that I see that eventually, maybe during my lifetime, I will have to completely step away from it. If it'll still even be there, if it won't just burn down. Because it was outdated. And they'll just, like, remote control, just set it on fire or something. Because you're not part of their system. I don't know how far it'll go. But yeah, computers, electronics are definitely in control of Babylon. Unless you can literally, from scratch, make your own electronics. Then it's a different story. Then you can design it your own way. Oh, it'll be outdated. Yeah, but it'll be designed by you. It won't have freaky, overcomplicated, bizarre pit traps in it for the future that people don't even understand because it was all just robot engineered. Right. Right, so I'm going to move towards rounding out the show. Been over 2 hours already, but it's been a great show. Would be even greater if I got a PayPal to match the greatness of this show. What is the Great Wall of China? Information highlight like the Beacon of Thunder. Fascinating, Ilishi. Interesting. I don't know. Great Wall of China is very mysterious to me. And there's probably some misinformation about it. Right. By the way, I've actually gone and I'm watching a movie, a Hollywood movie about the Great Wall of China. It's kind of funny. I'm like in the middle of watching it. I didn't finish it. It's a pretty big movie. Like really big spectacle army, almost Lord of the Rings style, huge army spectacle type movie. Very interesting thus far. It's basically the Great Wall of China against some demon monster. So they're not going against the Mongolians, they're going against some ancient demon monster army. It's kind of fascinating. Matt Damon in the lead. Is it Matt Damon? One of those actors. It's very Hollywoodian in its actor range. But it's interesting so far. The defending side is facing China. Really? Huh. Okay. Well, if the... Really? So it's not defending against outside, it's like a camp to contain in? Wow. Well, if that was the case, then maybe the Great Wall of China was actually built by Tartaria to contain China. What a weird piece of information. Never heard that before. Yeah, I'd like to hear some more detail about LSG. Could you later link that up over Skype or something? We have a video that's going into detail about how it's the defending side is facing China, not the other way around. I'd really like to know more about that. I really do. Because that is very fascinating. I've never heard that before. Or not that I can remember anyway. Right. Anyhow. Fuck's sake, come on. Yeah, I modified the title a little. It's been a long show. Okay, Flatter Sage. Well, if it's specifics on the destroying of the culture of Tartaria, I'd love to read something about that. So, yeah, link me up with that. Or email me. I'd love to read into that. Why doesn't sun normally... What's the sun? Troop. Overcomfort. I mean, it's a non-local hologram. It doesn't have a position. It only has an angular position in relation to the observer, and the angular size and pathway is consistent. So, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it change in angular size during sunset? It's not a thing moving over a disk. It's literally an angular, visible, non-local hologram. It doesn't have a position. Perspective does not apply to it. It doesn't have a location, you see? Right. Okay, yeah, that would be great, Flatter Sage. Looking forward to that. I saw the video where it seems to shrink it. Yeah, I've seen that too. But I mean, that shrinkage is obviously not because of perspective. Otherwise, with the speed that it was going, that would mean that it literally, the sun is accelerating off into warp speed into the distance. So whatever that effect was, it was obviously lens-based and not perspective-based. True over comfort. Like, obviously. Because if we know one thing about the sun and the sun path is that it is consistent. It doesn't accelerate or decelerate anywhere visibly within the sky. So if it suddenly became smaller as it would move into the horizon, well, it didn't literally just move off in warp speed, because we know that the pathway is angular consistent. Right, but I'm really gonna round out the show now because I'm getting hungry. Doesn't it depend on the wave? Yeah, sure it does. But the point is, it's not an object that's moving over a disk and you're not seeing it decrease in size because of a perspective effect. That is the point. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming. I hope you liked this show. If you did, then please don't forget to Rogan's it up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal and the Patreon. That would be really appreciated and I can sure use it. So yeah, guys, please keep the support coming, or I'm gonna have a very hungry month. Because I'm gonna run out of money very quickly. Like within a week. So please support me. Right. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with Flat Earth Early Bird number 1621 on a Sunday. Oh, and there's a special exception Ballbusters episode over at Quantum Eraser channel this evening. Normally there wouldn't be, I think it said, but there is a Ballbusters special episode this evening, so that would be cool. If I could see you all there in the chat. I'm gonna be there anyway. Right, and otherwise I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next Early Bird show, and until the next video, keep it flat.